Margate joint manager Simon Osborn with me. Simon, 2-1 defeat to Kingstonian, but if Margate had started the game the way they ended, it may have been a different outcome.
Yeah, possibly. Like I said, things not quite going for us at the moment. Obviously the first goal, just the cornering manages to hit somebody, drops down to their guy who volleys it in, and then the second goal we kind of got caught a little bit out of position and obviously balls to the back stick. But like I said, the last 20-25 minutes we, for whatever reason, all of a sudden played without a little bit of fear, upped our tempo, upped our work rate, and played for the last 25 minutes how really I want us playing for the first 70 minutes or so. So that was a little bit disappointing, but like I said, there's things. It was a little bit better towards the end. I'm disappointed. I don't enjoy losing very much, like I said, and I know what I've got to do. I know the job that I've got to do. We're close, but probably not quite where we're going to be, and I know how. Well, I think I know how, and hopefully the people here believe what I know, that it's going to be right, and I will look to put it right, and we'll keep going on. Like I said, we will get on, we'll dust ourselves down, we'll work on the things that we feel we need to work on Thursday, and hopefully we'll get a positive result come Saturday.
Now that Margate, to all intents and purposes, probably going to miss out on a playoff place, does that take some of the pressure off? Was that perhaps a factor coming into this game and previous games?
Possibly. Like I said, it's harder to stay in positions of promotions and playoff than it is to get into them, because there's a little bit less pressure on you. I would probably say that probably has affected us a little bit of fatigue maybe has set in. We've had a few injuries. I'm not going to go down and look at excuses. We haven't been good enough in the last 3 games. I thought in previous ones I could say that we should have possibly got something out of them. But like I said, there was a bit more positive towards the end. Like I said, I believe I know what I need to do with Craig and with the guys around us. And feel, like I said, if the people will stick by us and like I said, and get behind the team, which they have been doing, which has been great, and get behind us, we'll turn it around and we'll get it right. And like I said, with a good couple of games left this season, we've still got Ebbsfleet, and we're still going to go on. I want to win the last 2 games and finish the season and see what happens, and then we'll go from there. Like I said to you, I'm disappointed, but I'm not someone that's going to sit and mope and sulk. I'll analyse what we have done and what we haven't. I'd analyse the last 25 minutes and wonder why we got that. Is it possibly something that I'd done differently? You know, we did change it slightly today with personnel that we had. I wanted to have a look at something as well, so it was a learning curve in some respects, and then the last 25 minutes was pleasing.
Is one of the differences from the sequence of games where we lost just 1 in 10 to what we've seen over the last 5 games, is one of the differences the ability to pick the same players regularly? I mean, you've said you're not looking for excuses, however, as a context for what you've been able to put on the pitch at the moment, you've not necessarily had first choice players available. You had to move things around, change people in positions. So is there something about that that has added to the complexity of trying to get results at the tail end of the season?
Yes, but again, I'm not harping on at that. It's quite easy to hide behind injuries and this, that, the other. I'm not. That's not the way I am as a person, as a manager, as a coach, as a player. That's not the way I operate. Like I said, we haven't been good enough, and obviously that comes down to myself and Craig, more so me. And I'll take that on board. And like I said, I'll take the criticism. I've said to the players there's no pressure. The pressure's, someone who hasn't got a house or is unemployed and doesn't live anywhere, that's a little bit more pressure. Yeah. I'm in a privileged position at this moment in time to be the manager with Craig of the Margate Football Club. I've got a vision of what I want to do. The club has seen what we want to do. Like I said to you, I knew the job was never easy when I first took it, not for any reason. Chris had assembled a decent squad. I just think that to go that next step, to get into the playoffs and to be one of the top 6 teams in the division, needs a little bit more. And I'm looking at those now and highlighting what I think we need to do, and with a pre-season and whatever else. Like I said, I haven't given up any way, shape or form in this thing, and like I said, I'm not going hiding. People have their criticisms. I've had it a million times before. I've been booed by 30,000 fans, and they're my own fans. So I wouldn't, like I said, I don't go hiding. I hope that the players share the same enthusiasm or whatever we're doing in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 games if we can get through that. let's see. And like I said, the games will turn around. Football's a funny way of slapping you in the face when things are going well, and also it turns very, very quickly. So, like I said, I'm despondent. I'm gutted. We've come out of the playoffs at the moment, but like I said to you, I'll turn it round, and I know what we need to do.
Looking back, it's funny, I'm thinking about Margate's position at the moment. You can look at other teams, particularly Canby is the one that comes to mind, and it's almost as if the same thing has happened to Canby as well. So, as you say, it's an odd pressure, isn't it, when you're in the playoffs? And everything that yourself and Craig have put together has been angled towards getting into the playoffs and having a punt at promotion at the end of the season. So, how much pressure personally do you feel because of that?
I don't feel pressure. It doesn't, like I said to you, it doesn't faze me. It's what I do. It's what I know. I put pressure on myself to perform as a manager and as a coach and as a motivator, whatever you want to call it now, because you kind of encompass all those roles as what you do. And it's been a learning curve and getting to know the players. And like I said to you, I think that they're a decent bunch of players that probably needed a little bit more help. Maybe, like I said, in hindsight, looking back, the players I brought in possibly didn't quite work out how I wanted them to work out, and maybe I could have done a little bit more there. The club have been fantastic and backed us what we had, but we have expected a couple of players to get back, unfortunately, quicker than we did, and we've lost players that have cost us having to play. So, but like I said, that's not an excuse. That's just a fact of life, and we've got to move on. And rectify that, and like I said, we'd be out there looking at players. We've got people looking now at the moment at can we make Margate stronger? And like I said, you do need a certain type of player and a certain team to not only be up in the top sort of six, but to stay there. And that's all we're going to do. Like I said, we're going to keep battling forward. We're going to keep being positive. I'll come back Saturday, I'll be positive again, because that's just the way I am, and we'll try and bounce back.
I think you kind of alluded to it there, but through all the divisions, are there different types of players for different divisions? So you couldn't, extreme example, you couldn't put a Premiership player in the Ryman League Premier Division and expect them to perform the same way they would do in the Premier League. So are there players for divisions, and that as you kind of rise up the divisions or even drop down, you have to change the players to suit the environment that you're playing in?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a fact in any division. When you go to the Premiership, right the way down to Kent League, you've got to try and pick and assemble a squad that will get you out of that division. It's not easy, because you go to some difficult places, you go to some difficult grounds, and you need people that hopefully can stay fit, because you don't have big squads at this level. So you're looking at a certain player that's going to play X amount of games every year, and all these factors are added into that when you're looking at a player, of how many games he can play for you, what does he bring, the kind of person he is, does he fit in with the whole sort of ethos that you bring into a football club. So there are lots and lots of different things that come into that, even at this level. And like I said, we'll be tapping into the people we know. Like I said, we're trying to set it up so it'll run as professional as it possibly can do for the rest of this season, and obviously going into next season.
Last question, it was obviously a modest crowd this evening, just below 200, but what do you think of the support? The lads singing, they were singing right the way through the match, weren't they? So fair play to the fans.
Listen, the Margate fans have been fantastic from the moment I've got here. Obviously things have been going well previously. We've had a rough five matches, which happens, and they've been great. They've turned out the games, they've supported myself and Craig. I haven't had any bad comments aimed towards me. Listen, they're entitled to their opinion, and the football is a game of opinions. They probably think that I should have done something differently, and vice versa. If it wins and something happens to me, it works. If it doesn't, then it's my fault. But like I said, they've been great, and they turned up. They've had a busy week and a half, and it's those guys that keep coming out here week in, week out. We appreciate it as a club. We appreciate it as a team that they keep getting behind us and giving us a sing, and long may it continue.
Well, Simon, unlucky on tonight's result, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.